It's now time for the 2026 Men's Royal Rumble match, and we're kicking off in style with the man who calls himself him. Carmelo Hayes has drawn the unlucky number 1 spot, but can he go all the way and be the Iron Man of the match? Well, before we get an answer, we have to find out who is going to start the match with him. Like pure poetry, Ilya Dragunov draws the number 2 spot. These two are destined to do this forever, it seems, and this shows as soon as the bell rings, as the two run at each other, as Ilya clotheslines Melo down, booting him once, although the US champion fights back with a boot of his own, though it's Ilya's boot that takes down Melo, as he signals for the H-bomb, but as he runs, Melo is able to catch him with another big boot, staggering the Mad Dragon long enough for Hayes to then throw Dragunov over the top rope. Yet he desperately holds on, eventually making his way back into the ring as he fires off a plethora of strikes, until ultimately crumbling Melo with a roundhouse kick, who subsequently knees him right back, as it's now Melo's turn to fire off some shots, but all this does is fire up the Cesaro even more, as he's able to counter and take down the United States champion with a flying forearm, quickly picking him up and throwing him over the top rope. Yet Melo gets his knee up and ascends to the heavens. He wants nothing but net, which gets turned into a brutal powerbomb from the former champ, and he follows this up with an attempted H-bomb, but this gets turned into a triangle choke. So Ilya just desperately powerbombs him off before lowering him down just as the clock hits 0. Gunther is number 3, a man both men know all too well, the man who made John Cena give up. And the Ring General immediately comes into contact with the man he injured back in 2024 as they start to go at it, but Gunther starts overwhelming the Mad Dragon, pushing him onto the ropes, and after some pushback, Ilya gets chopped down, crumbling in the process. Yet as he does, Carmelo Hayes sneaks up on Gunther, which proves to be useless as he gets chopped down and all, though his follow-up knee is avoided as Melo springboards into a scoop slam. Then Dragunov tries to German suplex the big man, failing to do so, getting chopped again, though he fights back with a plethora of chops of his own, which merely staggers the Ring General, who runs right towards the Mad Dragon, missing a critical clothesline as he hangs over the top rope. But Ilya just can't manage to topple the big man over, and neither can Carmelo Hayes, as Gunther gets back into the ring before getting rocked with a forearm, as Melo and Ilya team up on the giant Austrian with a double suplex. But it's every man for himself, as Melo tries to get rid of Ilya once again, though once again he hangs on, mostly thanks to Gunther handling the man who calls himself him. Yet what he doesn't realise is Ilya is right behind him, trying another German suplex, which still can't land, as Gunther pushes him off and boots him down. Then he goes in for the kill, although the powerbomb gets stopped through a trio of punches, as Ilya tries his own, similarly being blocked, as he gets back body dropped, but he won't lie down, kicking back Gunther, only getting him a chop for his troubles. And with one to Carmelo Hayes, Gunther fully asserts control over the match. As with Melo and Ilya down, the Ring General decides to merely wait for entrant number 4, which turns out to be the baddest man of the entire match. Bron Breakker is here, and he's here looking to rectify January 5th, and standing in front of him is a man he has actually beaten before, the Ring General, Gunther. It's an intense stare down between the pair, but eventually it's Ilya who breaks the ice, as he fails to grip the Ring General again, and Bron tries to do the same, similarly failing, as both men team up on the former World Heavyweight Champion, battering him with strikes until Bron tries to actually eliminate him. However, help doesn't come, as Melo sneaks up on the Mad Dragon and tries to eliminate him, which fails as Ilya stays in the match. And so does Gunther, although Braun elbows back and strikes the ring general to Kingdom Come. But he can't military press slam Gunther as he now strikes Braun relentlessly, as once he collapses in the corner, he looks to eliminate Braun early. Which doesn't work, as the Steiner fires up and charges at the former Walter, who looks for a German suplex, which gets dodged from the quicker star. But Braun can't do much, as he gets taken down by a quick-fire German suplex by Ilya Dragunov. And whilst he recovers, we see Gunther then give Ilya a German of his own. And with Braun getting up, he comes into contact with an old NXT flame of his, as Mello looks for the first hit, which misses, although Braun's attempted spear suddenly is nowhere home, as Mello hurls him to the corner, and as they fight, we hear the buzzer go off, meaning the next entrant is now. It's time to get smooth, as Penta enters his second ever Royal Rumble, and he starts things off boiling hot, almost eliminating Ilya Dragunov, though he hangs on for dear life, and eventually gets back into the ring, even though he's slapped right back down. Then Penta turns his attention to a past rival of his, Braun Breaker, as he chops him into the corner, although Braun is able to counter Penta and send him into the turnbuckle, desperately trying to eliminate him, ultimately failing at the task, as Penta ascends to the middle rope and then top rope splashes the next big thing down. But then Mello tries a sneak attack dropkick, which only gets him a kick to the gut for his troubles. And following his sacrifice of Carmelo Hayes' arm, the last man in his way is the man destiny made him avoid. But fate can be avoided no longer, so Penta demands for Gunther to bring it, and the ring general does, slapping Penta's chest as hard as he can, and he gets this dish right back out to him in buckets, which leaves Gunther in the perfect position for a Mexican destroyer. Arguably the biggest he's ever done, and he tries to take advantage of this by eliminating the giant Austrian, yet he just can't do it. He doesn't have the strength, but maybe number 6 does. The Prince is in the Royal Rumble, and he's in the trunks and all, and on top of all this, he hits his signature pose. Classic Finn Balor is back, and he starts the match off hot, shotgun drop kicking the ring general back down, then Penta throws Balor over the top rope. However, he hangs on for dear life, getting back into the match, as after countering a forearm, he Pele kicks Penta down. And from here, he looks for a coup de grace. That is until he notices a past opponent of his, the Mad Dragon, Ilya Dragunov, who demands for him to bring it, which he does, dazing Ilya through a combo of strikes, as the Prince throws him into the corner, nailing a barrage of punches and chops onto the former United States champion. But Ilya slips out of Balor's grasp, though the Prince quickly fights back and takes him down with a sling blade. Then he focuses attention on his former WrestleMania opponent, Braun Breaker, as after countering a spear into a DDT, he looks to eliminate him, being joined by Carmelo Hayes, and Braun is almost shoved out, though he's able to fight back, getting back into the ring, but Mello puts him back down, as Balor turns on him, ultimately Pele kicking him down as well, doing the same to Braun Breaker. Then he goes back over to Mello and desperately looks to get rid of the number 1 entrant, yet he just can't do it, at least by the time number 7 enters the playing field. Dragon Lee is in his first Royal Rumble, and he immediately goes after his past rival Finn Balor, blocking a kick as he goes over the Prince and plants him down with a vicious powerbomb. Then he throws Balor over the top rope, and he tries his hardest to push him out of the match, eventually failing to do the job, as Balor shoulder barges his gut and gets back into the ring. Though Penta is back up, hitting Balor with a sling blade of his own. Then the two masked luchadors trade superkick attempts, as Dragon Lee then looks for another powerbomb. though Penta fires back with a trio of punches as he then goes off the ropes and gets hit with a quick-fire German suplex, which gets followed up by a powerbomb bicycle knee combination. And he backflips out of Gunther's grasp and super kicks him down as well, which leads to him attempting to eliminate the Ring General, which doesn't work as he continuously tries to avoid the chop, eventually succumbing to the strike. Then he throws him in the corner and tries to eliminate Dragon Lee, and he's trying so damn hard, growing more and more frustrated that Dragon Lee refuses to be done, and this frustration grows even more when number 8 enters the match.
El Grande Americano!
El Grande Americano joins the fray. It's his first Royal Rumble too, and he gets immediately put down by a gruesome chop courtesy of the Ring General, who picks him up and drops him with a powerbomb. And with that, El Grande Americano is the first man eliminated from the 2026 Men's Royal Rumble match. And Gunther doesn't give a damn, going back over to Dragon Lee, who elbows back, going to the middle rope and getting dragged straight back down to the mat. Though Ilya then tries a German suplex again, and again he fails to connect it, but he's able to damage the General, who of course fires back with strikes of his own, with Ilya crumbling in the corner. And Gunther looks for the elimination, which gets blocked with an elbow. However, as this is going on, we see a furious El Grande Americano on the ramp, though his fury soon turns to anguish when number 9 arrives. Chad Gable is back, and he wipes the floor with El Grande Americano before joining the Royal Rumble match. And he starts off in style, blocking a Braun Breaker spear, going to the top rope, and taking out both him and the man who calls himself him with a drop kick. Then he goes over to Penta and gets his receipt for his separated shoulder, and he almost eliminates him, but Penta hangs on, although Gunther ensures the job is done, stealing Chad Gable's spotlight and elimination. And this pisses him off to no end, as he German suplexes the big man. Then he even effortlessly nails a Chaos Fury onto the Ring General. But before he can capitalize, Dragon Lee looks for an Operation Dragon, though Chad is able to keep a hold of him and toss him out of the match. Then he goes back over to Gunther, looking to eliminate the Ring General, ultimately failing, as Gunther gets back into the match. However, Gable keeps up on the offensive, trying to eliminate him again, though Gunther pushes back, but he misses a crucial chop as he gets lit up by never-ending strikes up until he's back on the ropes. And Gable looks to clothesline him out, almost eliminating himself in the process. Key word being almost, as he hangs on in there, much to the annoyance of entrant number 10. Arguably the biggest crowd favourite is here, but before he can go after two of his prior 2024 rivals, some others step in front of him first. As up first is the Prince, and both actually show respect to one another, before of course starting to battle. And both men are so incredibly even, it could seemingly go either way. Although after some more back and forth, Sami is able to overwhelm Finn as he looks to eliminate him, which doesn't work. So he forcibly takes him down with one hell of a blue thunder bomb. But as he gets up, he quickly has to put a speeding Braun Breaker down with a corner exploder suplex. And he turns around to the man he lost the United States title to, as Ilya demands for more war, which he gets, as he dodges a Helluva kick, but gets put down with a different variation. And now, he can turn his attention to Gunther and Chad Gable. Or so he thinks, as Mello comes up to him and downs him with a bicycle kick as he attempts to eliminate him, though neither him or Chad Gable can be by the time number 11 comes on out. Bronson Reed is in, Braun Breaker has some backup, and they immediately set their sights on Gunther, who doesn't seem worried whatsoever, and whilst he tries his best, he just can't avoid a spear from the Steiner as he crawls into the corner, whilst the Vision set their sights next on Chad Gable. and with them both focusing in on the Shush Master, Gable eventually just can't hold on. He's gone, and they target Carmelo Hayes and Sami Zayn next, slowly taking them both down, which leaves only Ilya Dragunov and Finn Balor to fend off the Vision. As they two ultimately aren't strong enough to take them both on, out of a double chokeslam to Ilya Dragunov, Finn Balor crawls to his feet, seeing the numbers game for once not in his favour, and he's ready to die on his sword. That is until help arrives at number 12. Former partners turned enemies, and now, for just one night only, turned friends to battle the bigger evil, as Finn Balor and Damian Priest take it to Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. And they even managed to overwhelm them, so much so that we see Balor and Priest put both men in a corner as Damian Priest grabs them both by the throat and delivers one massive double chokeslam. And with a coup de grace to Braun Breaker, the Vision have been dealt with. Though before any eliminations can happen, we see the former friends stare off with each other, and it seems all is well until Damian turns his back on the Prince, as Finn Balor gets revenge for the start of 2025, yet he can't celebrate for too long as Carmelo Hayes comes from behind him and superkicks the Prince out. And now, the only men standing in the ring are the three last men to hold the United States title. But before they come to blows, number 14 makes his presence known. The boos are indescribable, they're so damn loud for the Maverick, and with him gloating to all hell, he doesn't realise that the three men standing are all pointing towards him. And when he does realise how screwed he is, it's too late, as Sami takes charge and downs him, and with a double suplex from Melo and Ilya, Sami puts him in the corner and lubricates the YouTuber's head off. And after a nothing but net by Carmelo Hayes and a H-bomb by Ilya Dragunov, Sami Zayn puts the exclamation mark on things by eliminating Logan Paul. Then the three men stare down once more, and it's Ilya Dragunov who goes for the first hit, as he proves why he is well and truly the Mad Dragon, firstly taking down Carmelo Hayes with a roundhouse kick before taking down Sami with a shoulder tackle. And he still won't burn out, booting Melo in the corner and forearming Zayn down just in time for number 14. The Vision again has 3 members, yet 2 are still out cold and recovering, but as he's making his entrance, Ilya gets taken down by a reawoken Ring General, who German suplexes the Cesar down. And it's he who confronts Austin Theory, who stalls just long enough for Bronson Reed to take Gunther down. And from here, the 2 men double suplex him down as well. Though the Ring General kicks back, even though Bronson is there for backup, pushing Gunther onto the ropes as he tries to eliminate him, being joined by Austin Theory. But they can't eliminate him just yet, especially since Austin Theory gets distracted by the man who enters at number 15. His former A-Town Down Under teammate is the man up next, and Grayson Waller unbelievably tries to befriend Austin Theory just like all times, which of course doesn't work, as Theory starts beating the unholy hell out of him, as after an ataxia, Theory puts the exclamation mark on the end of A-Town Down Under with a stomp, before chucking him out of the Rumble. Then he turns his attention back to Gunther, who is able to fight off both Theory and Reed, though Braun Breaker is back up, as it's now 3-on-1. However, Ilya Dragunov quickly grabs Braun away from the situation, as Sami Zayn does the same to Bronson. Now it's Theory who's the only man to stand up to the Ring General, and he crumbles against him, suffering a chop alongside a powerbomb in quick succession. Then Gunther lifts him up and just powerbombs him to the outside and all. And once Austin Theory eventually walks in the back, he gets confronted by a certain returning megastar. LA Knight is back, and he drops Austin Theory for BFT before making a beeline towards the ring, and once he enters the squared circle, he immediately goes after Big Bronson Reed, dropping him with a BFT as well. It's one hell of a receipt by the megastar, who picks him up and sends Bronson over the top rope as he gets punched over. Bronson Reed is gone, however, Gunther is not, as he attempts a German suplex on the megastar, but this is merely an attempt, as LA Knight fires on all cylinders against the ring general, eventually bringing him down with some stomps. Then he goes for another elimination, and he's so close to getting revenge for the last time it's now tournament. But Gunther is able to get back into the ring, even if he's continuing to get overwhelmed by LA Knight. But as this happens, number 17 comes on out. Drew McIntyre is here, and he's not messing around as he immediately goes after Sami Zayn, battering him down in the corner until he falls. Then he just picks him up and chucks him back into the corner as he tries for the elimination. But Sami hangs on for dear life, even fighting back against the Scottish Terminator, which only gets him a further beating, ultimately being taken down by a lariat. Then Drew goes over to Ilya as the two get into a striking exchange, with Drew ultimately standing tall as he hits a Glasgow kiss. Though before he eliminates him, he goes over to the United States Champion, attempting to finish the job on him first. Yet just like with Sami Zayn, he just can't do the job just yet, although he is able to overwhelm Mallow. But that all stops when number 18 makes his arrival. Oba Femi is back on the main roster, and he's here for two things: to win the Royal Rumble and to eliminate Drew McIntyre, as the two large-in-a-life athletes stare galaxies through each other. That is, until Drew goes for the first blow, getting hit with one of Oba's own, as he's then dropped by a fall from grace. Though the ruler quickly turns his attention to two men he's never faced, as he pummels both Ilya Dragunov and Carmelo Hayes with vicious strikes, even delivering a thunderous F10 onto the United States Champion. Then he goes back over to Drew, trying to eliminate him, leaving Carmelo Hayes to fend off the Wolves all on his own. Although the man who eliminates him turns out to be the next entrant. Trick Williams is in the house, and he starts things off right, quickly scooping Mallow up and out of the ring to a ginormous amount of booze. Ilya Dragunov is now the sole Iron Man, which lights a fire under him, which gets snuffed out with a Trick shot, as Trick looks to eliminate him, getting distracted by Braun Breaker, who inadvertently saves the Mad Dragon. Ilya's still in, as Braun and Trick continue to brawl, the Steiner just deadlifting Trick away before going for a spear, which gets stopped by LA Knight's Blood Force Trauma, and Trick then tries sneaking up on him, only getting him eliminated for his troubles. However, Gunther sneaks up on him as the two start trading counters and blows, until Gunther headbutts Knight down, who's able to avoid the subsequent knee, though a boot to the gut puts LA Knight on the ropes. He's in a dangerous predicament, but he hangs on in there, at least until we get officially into 2/3 of the Rumble.
Your boy is bouncy.
The young OG is here. It's similarly his first Rumble, and he immediately goes after Gunther, as following a springboard clothesline, he turns his attention to Oba Femi, whom after shockingly eliminating Drew McIntyre, meets the same fate. All thanks to not Javon Evans, but Drew McIntyre, as the two brawl on the outside. All the while, Javon comes back into contact with the ring general, who just counters an OG cutter into a German suplex. Though then Sami Zayn steps up to the ring general, and he manages to push him near the ropes, and he runs at him, only for Gunther to eliminate Sami Zayn. Everyone absolutely hates this, as Gunther just takes in the nuclear heat, although the only way to balance things out is with a phenomenal entrant number 21. AJ Styles is in his final ever Royal Rumble, and he starts things off in a phenomenal fashion, punching Gunther away as he phenomenal forearms him. Then he comes into contact with a man he wrestled in a tag match not long ago, as Javon misses a super kick but manages to connect it into Giri. Then he ascends to the middle rope, getting plunged back down by AJ Styles. Though Javon pushes back as he goes for and nails his bouncy kick. Then he goes for another dive, which gets caught into a picture-perfect, beautiful Styles clash. Although a dream match for many then comes to pass during the Rumble, as Ilya Dragunov jukes it out with AJ Styles, and even though he rises, he gets put down with an enziguri and Pele kick. Then he picks him up and tries throwing him out, which doesn't work, as Ilya ascends to the heavens, but he's too slow, as AJ Styles meets him up there, as the Phenomenal One takes the Mad One down to the mat with a big avalanche suplex. And then, number 22 comes on out. Rey Mysterio is in, a man who, just like AJ Styles, is winding down his career, as these two legends embrace one another perhaps for the last time. Although before they fight, Gunther interrupts the festivities, so they decide to work together, as Rey nails a 619. However, his follow-up splash gets caught with a spear out of nowhere from Braun Breaker. Then he goes over to AJ Styles and brawls with him, and it's Styles who then goes up to the top, being met this time by a Frankensteiner. And he goes to charge up for a spear, getting caught mid-flight by Gunther, who connects a powerbomb. But Gunther just doesn't give a damn, taunting away as per usual. That is, until number 23 comes on out. Aleister Black is here, a dream match for many, and it can happen in the compounds of the Royal Rumble. And it's an even playing field, although eventually Aleister Black overwhelms Gunther, pop-up meteoring the ring general down, but Gunther isn't the only warrior up, as Ilya Dragunov goes up Black, though all this leads to is him getting taken down and swung at relentlessly. Yet the former Malachi isn't done, knocking Ilya out cold with a knee. Then it's LA Knight who goes after Aleister Black, similarly failing to do much, or so you think, as Knight punches with all of his heart. However, he ends up missing a critical clothesline that ultimately leads to him getting black masked. Aleister Black is on top, but for how much longer will this be the case? Another dream matchup is on the table, yet Aleister Black is looking to end him straight away, failing to hit a black mass, as Shinsuke Nakamura Kinshasas him down. Then he comes into contact with an old flame, as Styles looks for a kick, which is nowhere to be found. However, the same can be said about Nakamura's Kinshasa. These two know each other in and out, which is best shown as the two counter each other's finishing blows once more. As with the Kinshasa avoided, Styles overwhelms Nakamura with strikes and suplexes. But with the King of Strong style being just that, he fights back and knocks down Styles, and he avoids a Braun Breaker spear with a knee, and this knee leads to another Kinshasa. There's Kinshasas for everyone, as Shinsuke goes back over to Aleister Black to try and eliminate him, which he can't do by number 25's entrance. Jacob Fatu is back, and he's here to create some carnage, starting things off by decimating Ilya Dragunov, putting him into the corner and shoulder blocking him down, subsequently choking the life out of him with his own boot. And after several headbutts that could crush worlds, he goes over to Javon Evans, as he moves out of harm's way, before forcing him into a different corner, crushing him with a splash and bulldozing through him and all. And he follows this up with a double spring moonsault right onto Javon's back, as with that, the young OG is ousted from the match. And Jacob doesn't slow down, as he and LA Knight have a scuffle, with Jacob urinarking the megastar down. Then he tries to eliminate him, but he can't do it just yet, as he gets distracted by a certain returning Viper. Randy Orton is in the Rumble, and he immediately RKO's Jacob Fatu and unbelievably eliminates him just like that. Then he hits another RKO, this time onto Rey Mysterio. However, Jacob Fatu then goes back into the ring and starts to decimate the Apex Predator, nailing not one, not two, but three double spring moonsaults. And the reasoning for this assault is far different to what we imagine, as he leaves the corpse behind, allowing for Gunther to pick up the pieces, hurling Randy Orton out of the match just like that, doing the same to Rey Mysterio. Again, Gunther is on top of the world. That is until lucky number 27 flips everything on its head. Brock Lesnar is in the building, and he's got his eyes set on Gunther just like at the 2023 Royal Rumble. And the two actually come to blows, Brock stopping a chop as he scoops up the ring general and plants him down with an F5. But that's only the beginning, catching Aleister Black midair, hoisting him up on his shoulders for another F5. And to complete the trifecta, he blocks a Kinshasa attempt, hitting Shinsuke Nakamura in the knee and planting him with a third F5. Then he gets to eliminating, first hoisting Shinsuke Nakamura over the top rope and kneeing him out. And from here, he German suplexes Aleister Black and sends him out of the match and all. But before he can assault anyone else, number 28 rears hits Ed. Two warriors that always seemingly find each other, Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar. And Roman immediately spears the Beast, yet he's going for his own trifecta, nailing a second spear. But as he goes for a third, Brock catches him, although Roman slips out of his grasp and nails the third. However, that's when Bron Breakker spears the OTC. And surprisingly, he's got one for Brock Lesnar too, before ultimately eliminating the Beast from the Rumble. He's just eliminated his former War Games brethren, though he doesn't care, looking to eliminate Roman Reigns as well, which doesn't work. Although he does manage to leapfrog over the Tribal Chief's spear, nailing him with one of his own. But then LA Knight sneaks up on him, countering another spear attempt with DDT, as he desperately tries for the elimination. And before number 29, now all that's left is the Iron Man and Ilya Dragunov, Gunther, Bron Breakker, LA Knight, AJ Styles, and Roman Reigns. And you can add a future Hall of Famer to that list. Chris Jericho is back in WWE, and he's back on a mission to win the Royal Rumble, and he first comes into contact with AJ Styles and codebreakers him down. Then LA Knight tries stepping up to Y2J, also getting codebreaker down, although Gunther is up and just chops Jericho down. However, the follow-up powerbomb is avoided, as Chris Jericho manages to nail a third codebreaker. He's on fire, and Bron Breakker looks to put out the flame with a spear, which doesn't land as he goes for the elimination, almost resulting in his own demise. But he hangs on in there, climbing to the top rope, and almost getting hit with another Frankensteiner. Keyword almost, as Jericho manages to push him off, nailing a middle rope moonsault onto Bron. Then he looks for the Judas effect, which misses, as Bron shoulder blocks him down. Though the countdown starts for the final time, Bron discarding the legend in time for number 30.
Burn it down!
Seth Rollins is back. He's returned from injury early, and the man who caused his injury is in the ring, as he looks for the spear, which gets beautifully turned into a pedigree, as Rollins follows it up with a stomp, and with that, he eliminates Bron Breakker. The Messiah is well and truly back, as he even dodges a Roman Reigns spear as well, following this up with yet another stomp, and with a super kick, he eliminates Roman Reigns too. two of his biggest rivals out in one go. He's on fire! But Gunther puts out the flames, prematurely tossing Seth Rollins out of the ring. It's a quick night for the Architect, yet it's a long night for Gunther, who again chops Chris Jericho down, and this time is able to powerbomb him, as with him sending out Y2J through a big powerbomb to the concrete floor. We're down to the final four. But who will win? Will it be the Iron Man Ilya Dragunov? Will it be the megastar LA Knight? Will it be the phenomenal one AJ Styles? Or will it be the Ring General Gunther? Well, whilst LA Knight and AJ Styles do battle on one side of the ring, Gunther and Ilya Dragunov do battle on the other. And these two men are so evenly matched. Chops countered with chops, boots countered with forearms. Both these men have been through so much tonight, though the Iron Man is just too worn down through the endless war. And eventually, he gives in, as Gunther hits a lariat and makes Ilya pass out in the sleeper hold before tossing him to the outside. We're down to 3. However, thanks to the Ring General, 3 soon turns to 2 as Gunther big boots LA Knight out the Royal Rumble. We're down to 2. Who will punch their ticket to WrestleMania? All the crowd want Styles, none of the crowd want Gunther, who immediately goes for a chop, which is nowhere to be found, as Styles' phenomenal blitzes Gunther down, yet his follow-up knee is nowhere to be found, as the chop is crumbling Styles. But his knee gets evaded all the same, and this turns the tide of battle completely, as Styles is able to muster up the giant Austrian and plant him down with a Styles Clash. But he knows he needs more, so he goes for more, going to the top rope and hitting for the first time in so many years, a spiral tap. And with Gunther hanging on by a thread, AJ Styles clotheslines him out of the match to win his first and final ever Royal Rumble. It's one hell of a feel-good moment. AJ Styles is going to WrestleMania, but who will he choose? Well, we're just gonna have to wait and see. As if you like this story, I think this might interest you.